This story is told from the perspective of a female. As a backstory, I live in Miami, Florida with my boyfriend. However, I grew up in Naples, Collier County to be exact, and that is where the rest of my family lives. We go there for major holidays and birthdays to visit. So last Thanksgiving, we decided we would take our then 2-month-old daughter with us on a trip so my family could see her. We left around 12:30 p.m. to head there, which would put us there at about 2:30 depending on traffic. We figured we would leave before 8 p.m. We were new parents, and this was the first time we had driven anywhere far with her. Well, one thing leads to another, and we end up staying way past 8, and instead we leave somewhere between 11 and 11:30. The only positive about leaving that late is that there would be no traffic and Alligator Alley would be pretty much empty. The negatives are that there are literally no lights for most of the drive, and you can't see what is beyond your headlights. So if you broke down, it would be pretty terrifying in the pitch black in the middle of the swamp. That is always my fear when I make that drive. My family told us we could crash there, but we didn't have anything for overnight, and the drive should be less than 2 hours since there isn't any traffic. So we put our daughter in the car seat dreading the drive back, and thankfully she passes out instantly. My boyfriend is driving and we're about 30 to 45 minutes in, and he looks at me and says, "Babe, I'm really tired. Do you think you could take over?" My boyfriend hates my driving, so I know he wouldn't ask me to drive unless he was really tired. Plus, he drove on the way there, so I didn't mind at all. I told him to pull over at the next rest area, and I would take the wheel. So he keeps driving, waiting for a rest area sign, and as we're driving, I'm talking to him to keep him awake. We end up seeing a sign that says rest area ahead, so he says he's gonna pull into that one when we get there. Well, as we are talking, our daughter wakes up and we can hear her cooing and making different noises in the back seat. Then the next thing you know, she rips one and takes this big wet shit. I mean, you could really hear it. Then she starts crying hysterically. So we're both like, great, now we have to change her. But it wasn't really a big deal because we were pulling up to the rest stop anyways. It would just take a little longer. Now, to paint a picture for you, it wasn't a rest stop that had buildings with bathrooms and vending machines. There are a lot of them like that out there. This one was basically just a long parking lot with one row of empty parking spaces, which basically just looped back onto the road. Really simple, nothing much to it. The parking spaces face out to the woods/swamp. The one thing separating the woods from the parking spaces was a tall metal fence that stretched only to the end of the parking spaces. So he pulls into the last parking spot just before the fence ends, and we both get out, leaving the car and headlights on. He goes to the passenger side, and I go to the back seat to change the baby. I take her out of her car seat and sit her in the back changing her diaper. Meanwhile, she's still screaming at the top of her lungs. I finally finish changing and get her to calm down and walk her around the car back to her car seat. Her car seat's on the passenger side, behind where my boyfriend is now sitting. So I'm crouching over, buckling her in, and I hear my boyfriend, in a really confused voice, go, "What in the fuck is the... Babe, get in the fucking car, now." He's literally the hardest person to scare, so to hear his voice that way got my attention. So I stand straight up from my crouching position and look in front of us. My heart literally sank into my ass. There is a big fat clown on the other side of the fence, where my headlights are shining. The top of his head looked bald, and he had bright red hair sticking out on the sides of his head. He had really creepy face paint on. He even had a red clown nose, and it looked like there was something splattered across his costume. He was standing there silently, his face pressed up against the fence to the point where his skin was seeping through the holes, and he was smiling the creepiest fucking smile I have ever seen in my life. Sheer terror came over me, and I yelled out something along the lines of, "Holy shit," and slammed my daughter's side door. I ran around the back of my car, my heart racing a mile a minute. The clown lets out the creepiest laugh I have ever heard, and he starts shaking the fence violently, and then starts walking towards the end of the fence slowly, like he was going to come around. As he is walking, he starts singing Rockabye Baby, while gliding his fingers across the fence. The way his voice sounded while he was singing, it was so chilling. I can't describe it. It was a really low-tone, shaky, psychotic clown voice. I'm assuming he sang it because he heard my daughter crying, but who knows. I jump into the driver's side after what feels like forever, even though the whole thing probably lasted 15 seconds, and locked all of my doors. I'm literally shaking throughout my body, running on pure adrenaline. My boyfriend is in my ear saying, what the fuck, let's get the fuck out of here. This clown is now on our side of the fence, right in front of us. As I threw my car in reverse, he starts beating his hands on the hood of my car, now screaming something I couldn't make out because I was in pure nope mode. My boyfriend is even yelling, if he gets in front of the car, just run it over. So I was fully prepared to do so, but he didn't. I sped out of there like a bat out of hell. I look at my rear view, and the creepy ass clown is just standing there in the middle of the rest area, waving us off. We got onto the main road, and I was driving faster than I have ever driven in my life. We were so stunned and traumatized by the whole ordeal that all we could manage to get out was, what just happened, for the remainder of the ride. We still speculate what it is he was doing out there at 12 a.m. dressed like a clown in the middle of the Everglades on Thanksgiving night. We considered he was trying to fuck with people, but you would need some serious balls to pull that kind of stunt out there in the Everglades. People that live around there don't mess around. I truly believe that in the way he was singing and screaming, that he was absolutely out of his mind. I don't have any other explanation. It gives us goosebumps to this day, almost a year later, trying to answer the question of what his intentions were. And what terrifies me the most, and gives me chills even now as I'm typing this, is the fact that we were parked there for at least 10 minutes while I was in the backseat changing my 2-month-old, being watched by some psycho dressed as a clown. I always wonder how long he was watching. The world is full of crazy people. Living in Miami, I really thought I had seen it all, but I was wrong. Needless to say, this Thanksgiving, we're staying home. Every year, my town hosts a carnival. It's a big deal. Carousels, fair games, Hall of Mirrors, and that stupid twirly swing ride that makes you want to vomit. They really pull out all the stops for this one weekend in October. Growing up, I would get sugar sick, as my mom would like to call it, from all the cotton candy and funnel cakes. I'd only feel the symptoms after the night was done, while lying in bed clutching my prizes. I ignored the malaise and play back all the festivals in my head. I skip the carnival now. It doesn't do anything for me anymore. So imagine my dismay as my girlfriend, who helps work the carnival, dragged me along one night after all the crowds had left. No lines, she squealed. I even know how to turn on the Ferris wheel. I tried to look excited. She yanked me over to the shooting gallery, and we sat down in front of the counter line with water pistols. Several bullseye targets hung about 15 feet away. We fired away, but of course, I let her win. I jump the counter and make my way over to the prize rack. Huge stuffed animals, baseball caps, and t-shirt line the wall. Which one do you want? I yelled back. She tried to look like she was making a life-altering decision. I'll admit now, it was kinda cute. Before choosing, I see her whip out her cell phone and snap a picture of me next to the prizes. I'm stuck between picking you or the stuffed octopus next to the clown head doll. I'll take the octopus. I rolled my eyes and reached past the clown head doll for the octopus. From there, she pulled me over to the carousel. I watched her disappear into the engineer's control room, and a few seconds later, the pipe organ started and the carousel cranked into motion. During the ride, she felt it was time for another picture. I really tried to smile. We only stayed in the Hall of Mirrors for a few minutes. It was pitch black in there. We kept bumping into the mirrors and each other. Of course, she snapped a picture in there too. The blinding flash didn't help our disorientation. After the terrifying Hall of Mirrors situation, we decided to leave. She told me she was going to go home and post pictures of the great night. The next morning, I got on the Facebook and noticed a small album she uploaded. I started reading through the comments. Lucky bastards, carnival all to yourself, nice. What struck me off guard were the next comments. Love the photobombing clown. Who is that dressed up as the clown? Wait, what? I looked through the pictures again, and sure enough, there it is. In the carousel picture, there was a tall clown in the background. The speed of the ride somewhat blurred his image, but I could see him just standing there, arms at his sides. In the Hall of Mirrors, the flash illuminated the face of a smiling clown and one mirror in the corner of the picture. There was something chillingly twisted about his expression. How many times did I collide into him, thinking it was my girlfriend? And lastly, there was the picture of me standing next to the shooting gallery prize rack. There he was, next to the octopus I grabbed from my girlfriend. I thought he was a doll. The realization made me absolutely sick. I was a hair length away from him. His warm breath probably grazed my skin. What sort of sick delight did he get from doing this? I called up my girlfriend, who was still asleep, and asked her if she knew the clowns that were hired for the carnival. Her reply made me shudder. They got rid of clowns 5 years ago, when parents complained they were scaring the kids. This story is being told from the perspective of a female. I've never had any experiences that really freaked me out, except this one. I was around 11 years old and was with my sisters and her friends. We're all girls. They were all around 16 years old and were taking me trick-or-treating. We were going door to door to get candy and playing with silly string. I kept getting this weird feeling, like I was looking behind me constantly and I had no clue why. Around 9:30 p.m., I turned around quickly, and there was a guy dressed up as a clown about 2 yards behind us. I wasn't really scared about this because I like clowns, and since this was the first time I saw him, I figured that he was just trick-or-treating. But he followed us for another hour, never getting candy, and waiting for us at each house we stopped at. At this point, I was stressing and told my sister about the clown. She decided that we'd try to go a completely different route and see if he still follows us. So, we all crossed the street, and he followed us. My sister absolutely hates clowns and was freaked out, so she called our dad to pick us up. We continued walking for around 30 minutes until our dad called us, saying where he was parked. We all started walking fast to the direction of my dad's car, but that's when the clown ran in front of us and tried to corner us. I think he knew that we were trying to leave. My sister and her friends were freaking out, and me, being a naive and outspoken kid, I yelled at the clown to leave us alone. I remember that he tilted his head to the side when I said that, kinda like a confused dog. I grabbed my sister's silly string and told the clown that if he didn't leave us alone, I'd ruin his outfit with the silly string. Again, I was a naive kid. I actually thought that he would be scared of silly string. The clown didn't back off, so I stringed him all over his mask and costume. While I did this, my sister called our dad again, telling him to hurry where we were. The clown struggled to get the string off of his mask so he could see, but we were already running. My dad came around the corner and we all rushed inside the car. The clown caught up with us, trying to open the car door, but it was locked. As my dad hit the gas, the clown slammed his hands on the back window. I remember watching him out the back window, trying to chase the car, but failing. I never figured out what was up with that clown, but there were other reports of a clown with a similar description chasing kids in the area. Creepy clown. Hope that the silly string ruined your outfit, and that we never meet again. Thanks guys for checking out this video. Please give me a like if you liked it, and if not, just do it anyway. It's one extra click you're going to do today. It won't hurt you in the long run. At least, I don't think it will. I don't know what you do with your fingers. Anyway, it really helps me out with the crappy algorithm here on YouTube and might get me extra eyes on this channel. Maybe? Also, check out last week's video along with all of my other playlists. I know you'll enjoy them. Lastly, if you haven't subscribed, please do so and tell your friends. It's the only way this channel can truly grow. I do put videos out every Tuesday and Thursday night. With that being said, I'll see you Thursday for more scary stories.